Hello everybody, welcome back to BSG Annual 2021. I'm Zonorous, and I have the pleasure to be your host for the next two games. If you didn't know, we're the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering, and we are raising money for Mind. You can find the button to donate below the stream or in the chat by typing !donate. And I have been seeing in chat that quite a lot of people are been hyped for this next run. So let's give it over to Kinnan11 and Okami, New Game Plus, all brushes. Take it away, buddy.
Thank you for that amazing intro. And hello everyone, I'm Kinnan11. We will be doing Okami. So I'll just kind of jump into it. At the start I'm going to be selecting a New Game Plus file. New Game Plus basically means I finish the game and then I get to do another save. And with that save we're going to be doing the run. As you can see, I have like a ton of different files. They're all New Game Plus files for practice. And this is the correct file that I need. Floa, I'll count you down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what the New Game Plus will do, I'll explain later. There's a lot of things that happen with the New Game Plus. The most important thing is that on this version of the game, the PS3, it allows me to skip all the cutscenes, which is very useful, to say the least. So we're going to be skipping about 12 minutes worth of cutscenes right here. It's very long at the start, and we're just going to go. So in Okami, we play as the Wolf God. And one thing you might notice me doing right off the bat is we're going to be jumping in and out of cutscenes. This is what's called speed restoration. Whenever you run for a certain amount of time or do like a tackle and then run, you gain what we call either speed or dash, depending on when you started running the game. And by jumping in and out of the cutscene, we can keep that speed throughout the run, which is very useful. Ooh. There we go. And right here we're going to go to the next gimmick of the game. This is the brush. It allows me to manipulate the world using brushwork. So you can kind of see like how the game is made like an old Japanese painting, and we can use that to our advantage, basically, to do brushwork. There we go. And whenever I do one of those constellations, I gain a new brush power. Like with this one, I can restore things. And that brings me to the second part of the category, all brushes. So the definition for this category is to get all the brush powers and their upgrades. There are a total of 13 brush powers, and I believe about 8 upgrades, but I'm not 100% sure. I've never counted the upgrades, but I will be getting them all. I've got my splits to make sure that I keep track of it, but the run is fairly well practiced, let me put it that way. So I know what I'm doing. So right here we're gonna go and get another brush power. And this one is called Power Slash, and it allows us to slash things. It's actually casually one of the brush powers you'll use a lot during battles. It's not that useful in the speedrun, sadly. Most brush powers aren't, actually. You just need them to progress in a lot of cases. So right here I'm walking around the left a little bit. This is actually a fight skip. For some reason, some triggers in the game for fights are a little bit smaller than you'd expect, so you can just run around them. So for instance, there's another fight trigger here, and we skipped it. There we go. It's one of the first few skips you can do. It's really weird that it works like that, but yeah, it works like that. There we go. So the basic idea of this little area, by the way, is like a tutorial area to learn you how the game, to teach you how the game works. The basic story in this case is just like we need to get Power Slash to be able to deal with landing to be able to like continue the game, because there's like this big evil thing that's like making sure that everything is locked and whatever, and like, so we cut down this fruit over here, and now the village is all saved and we can continue. There we go. But the village is still a little bit cursed. However, we will never be... Oh, well, actually, we will be lifting the curse, but not right now. What we're first going to do is we're going to talk to this statue. Ooh, and bonk him, apparently. There we go. And I'm going to talk to another statue before leaving, because of some setup stuff I need to do to be able to gain another brush power a little bit later on. So we're going to go over here. And after I've talked here, I'm going to be performing the main glitch of this category. That goes like this. This is called a KT, or Karmic Transformer glitch. I'll sometimes also be referring to it as the infinite jump glitch. Basically, the idea behind the glitch is that in New Game Plus, you have these skins for Okami, for Ami, who like basically changes form that way. And whenever you change form in mid-air, you can input a frame-perfect tackle and then jump out of that tackle. And that allows us to do infinite jumps. It's really cool. And there's also different variations to them, which I will get to once we get there. Because coming up next, I'm going to have to explain some about the items. So, because this is New Game Plus, we also carry over all of the money we have, for instance, and all of the items and upgrades and whatever. And right here, we're going to enter our first fight, and I'm going to be equipping some weapons, some special items, and I'm going to be finishing the fight with a very powerful item, which is this item. This is an exorcism slip. It basically deals damage to everything in the arena. And because this is New Game Plus, I've got 99 of the strongest exorcism slip, which we'll be using to cheese a lot of the fights, which will be going like a lot faster because of that, and become more about execution rather than actual like fight strats. Which I mean, like the fight system in this game is kind of not really deep, but it's detailed, so to speak. There are definitely things you need to pay attention to, even in this run. But it's not... With exorcism slips, you can basically just cheese just about everything. My recommendation, therefore, is also, if you ever play this game casually and you want to enjoy the fight gameplay, do not use exorcism slips. Because, well... it's a little lame to just, like, one-hit every fight. There we go. So right here, I'm going to be drawing a circle on top of that tablet that we just saw right here. And what I'm supposed to be doing here is drawing Sunrise, which is one of the brush powers that we will gain a little later on. However, I have not yet gained it. But for some reason, whenever it's story related, the game allows you to not have Sunrise. This is because you do not have to draw a constellation for Sunrise. And therefore, like, for story elements, like, you don't really need to use it like that. So yeah. It's weird, but it's fun. It's basically what makes the any percent run work, so to speak. Sunrise, yes. Anyways, time for one of my favorite bits. Everyone type along, here we go. Because it's Susano time. Su. Sa. No. Susano. And now for Exploding Implosion. We have successfully bullied a bear that just goes straight back to sleep. So this is Bowl. Bowl is one of the worst parts of any speedrun of this game. Its collisions are a little bit too precise, which can make it really annoying to deal with, but this was a pretty okay bowl. That went well. So after we've pushed the ball here, we're gonna draw another sunrise, so we're gonna get another circle in the midair with no animation. Woo. But it does give us sunrise. And by doing that, we gain another brush power. This is Bloom. And Bloom allows us to bloom these trees. So these trees are kind of special. They're called the Guardian trees, and if you bloom them, you basically restore an area to its former glory, which is kind of cool. Right here, we're going to be doing another fight skip, so we're going to be jumping around like that. There we go, and we skip the fight. That skip is actually a little bit more precise than it looks, but yeah, it's still just works like that. It's a little silly. There we go. And then we get to the campfire again, but once again we just run around the fight. We're fine. Just keep going. Who needs to do fights? It's not like they give XP or anything. They only give money. I have like way too much money anyway. So now that we've gotten Bloom, we can restore Shinshu Field back to its former glory. And if you've ever seen a New Game Plus or Brushes run before, this is going to be one of the moments of route change that has happened over the past year or so. So a lot of people in the community have been doing a lot of cool work in figuring out some new theories for the run, and this is one of them. What we used to do here is we'd go back to Kamiki and get Sunrise and another brush power, but right now we're actually going to go and skip that and do that later. And in the end, like just doing this and doing that later saves like half a minute already or something. It's pretty crazy that we never thought of this, basically. Right here we're going to be talking to Mika, and Mika is going to give us a monster list. Now the idea of the monster list is that after you've gotten the list, there's special monsters with bounties on them, basically. But they only appear at night. So the game makes it night to give you a little tutorial on how they work. And you get to kill them. And yeah, that's the idea. We will only be doing one of these fights, specifically just to make it night, because for the next brush power we need it to be night. But we will have to be crossing off the name of the list, which is this one. There we go. So we're gonna go to the little house on the top right, as you can see there. There's a little house there. That house only opens at night, so that's why we had to make it night before. And it's nice that the game gives us that rather than we're gonna have to backtrack or anything to make sure that we get that. So right here I'm gonna be doing another kind of random looking KT. There we go. That's actually another fight skip. There's like a fight trigger over there, and by doing one KT there, we skip over it. And now we get another brush power. So this brush power that we just got is called Cherry Bomb. And it gives us bombs. Like so. There we go. Bomb. It's actually a very useful fight brush power, so if you ever play casually, I can definitely recommend using the bomb. It's also a huge part of the new game speedrun that doesn't have like a ton of items to work with, so using bombs is really useful there. I did another KT just there, by the way, to skip the fight again, because the fight trigger is still there, so we're gonna have to go around it. So right now the game expects us to be doing a lot of things over here in Shinshu, but I'm kind of done with this place, so we're just gonna keep going for now. And to do that, I'm gonna play it a little bit safe. This is like the safe strat right here. This is another type of KT. I'll explain it a little bit later. It's not important. And we're just gonna go straight into the next area. Now for the next area, I'm gonna be doing a very interesting trick called a brush adventure. Basically by moving the camera and pushing the camera at the same time. It sounds weird, but it makes sense in context. I can kind of unlock the camera and move it to wherever I want. So I need to focus for a moment. Oh, wait, I need to actually... Okay, give me a moment. I need to reset up. Need to redo the setup a little bit. I'll explain what's happening exactly after I'm done. This should work. There we go. Ah, too early. So what I was trying to set up there is leaving the area at the same time I was blooming this tree. And that skips this cutscene and puts me in a better position for the next bit. But I messed that up. I was a little bit too early there. I had a feeling and I should have gone for that feeling, but that's fine. The backup is only about 4 seconds lower, which is fine. But yeah, that was a brush adventure. We'll be using it a couple more times during the run. It is one of the cooler glitches that's been found in the last few years. And it allows us to do stuff like that. There we go. I'm gonna go up here and activate a mermaid spring, which is a fast travel point. We'll be only using one of those fast travel points because we've got a better method of fast traveling coming to us soon. And then right here, we're going to go straight into the next area, and to do that we're going to be doing what's called a liquid KT. Ooh, it might be a little bit high. Okay, we made it work. Cool. So by skimming very low above a surface and then switching KTs, we can jump out of the KT basically without having to do frame perfect input, which is really nice, especially because for above the water you can't actually do ground jumps above water, so you can't do normal KTs above water, which is it's a limitation basically. Go. So, to be able to bloom this area, I have to go over here first. I could technically try to bloom the tree instantly right from the get-go, but that's not possible, so we have to move around like this. And beat this guy. I just walked, so I lost my speed, but that's fine. Sometimes we get unlucky on this fight. So I'll be doing another KT to bloom the tree. So in the meantime, Zonoris, feel free to say something if you have anything you want to be saying.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. So, friends, hey, not sure if you know this, but we're the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering. We organize bi-monthly gatherings here in the Benelux for speedrunners. Due to the situation surrounding the COVID-19 thing that is still going on, we're currently doing our events online for the time being. This event here, BSG Annual, is featuring streamers from both the Benelux and the rest of the world and bringing you entertainment during the lockdown, or even if you don't have lockdown anymore. The point still stands. We bring great entertainment. And we're raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organization that is committed to prevent mental health issues and to support everyone who is dealing with mental issues themselves or within their families. And all of your donations are going directly towards Mind. And so far we have raised 2,429 euros. That is pretty amazing. So thanks already for that. But we wish to see that number go even a little bit higher. So if you can spend some money, please consider donating. You can find the button below the stream. And don't forget, whenever you do donate, we have a lot of cool incentives and stuff where you can allocate your donated money towards, so you can see some bonus stuff or decide the fate of some bid wars. Which coincidentally, after this run, after Okami, we have a bid war for the Sanic Ball. And I can talk about it a little bit later, but just so you're aware. So yeah, please get your donations in, and I'll read it out right here, right now.
Live on Twitch.tv.
If I had any. Live on twitch.tv/ESA Marathon, which you should follow, by the way, if you haven't already. And yeah.
Cool.
That's about it.
Thank you. So we're gonna go to another area right here. where I'll be doing a cool glitch. This is a personal preference glitch again, in this case. So I'll be doing what's called an interior clip. Basically, there's an interesting phenomenon about this game, or a design choice. I guess that's how to put it. Where the interior of areas are below the exterior of areas. So by jumping out of bounds like this and using the map to go to a very precise location, I can basically fall into the interior of this area right where I want to be. So like this. Just fell straight into the loading zone onto this a little bit. There is a different method of getting here, which is technically faster, but I like this glitch more. It's cooler, in my opinion. Cooler glitch. And then we're going to go straight into a digging game. So the idea of digging games is that you need to get the person you're traveling with to the bottom as fast as possible. So most of what I'll be doing is making a path and speeding the other person up. I'll be doing one more digging game after this a little later on, which has some other cool things you can do with it. But for now, we're digging up a hot spring over here. And by digging up the hot spring, we get another brush power, which is pretty cool. Kind of the point of this run, isn't it? So this burst power is called Water Spout, and what it allows us to do is to control water, basically, like so. And we can also create pillars of water at little springs that allow us to get to higher places. And in this case, it even gets us to a higher place so we can basically escape this area. So we basically kind of broke into this place without actually opening the gate. So the gate is still closed, so we cannot exit the area in the normal way. So we're gonna have to do these infinite jumps to basically get over the invisible wall, allowing us to escape the area. Because we've gotten Water Spout, we've gotten everything that we need, we're gonna continue on. So just like that, we're also done with Taka Pass. And we're gonna go on to the next area. And I'm going to take a sip of water. Stay hydrated. There we go. So this is City Checkpoint. Basically you've got that giant bridge over there that will only lower if someone like shoots a signal or anything, but we actually have no ability to shoot that signal. It's like halfway into the game, something like that, is when you can finally do that. But we've got a really cool little glitch over here that allows us to get over here. So whenever you go, you swim into a corner, you get what's called a corner glitch, because we're very, very how you call it, original. Basically, it gives you an auto jump, and by using that auto jump, we can jump on out of the water and jump on some geometry, and we just get to the other side. It's like, it's so expected that you're not able to get to the other side that it doesn't even have back-facing polygons over there, which is kind of funny to me. I always try to show that off during marathon runs. So yeah, that's one of the, actually one of the bigger sequence breaks in the game. It saves a lot of time in any percent, but for us it's actually not that interesting. So right here we're going to be jumping into a cursed zone. Now cursed zone is kind of like you can walk around but you're slowly drowning, so to speak. We're doing this specifically to skip a fight. And then right here we're going to be doing another brush adventure, pushing the brush down. There we go. And then we're going to water spout this area, allowing us to bloom a tree. Now the cool thing about doing this is that I can actually use the brush in the middle of a cutscene. I can even move around, but if I'm not careful, I can actually soft lock myself by doing that. So I usually just show off the brush and not walk around at all. Go as far away as possible from my stick. And there, we've bloomed this area. So now that we've bloomed this area, I'm going to continue on. And we're going to be doing another interior clip. This time, rather than like going to the edge of the map to go out of bounds, there's this really weird piece of geometry that allows us to basically clip through, which I'm going to be utilizing. Okay. Tried to do a little trick there, but can't perform it that well yet. There we go. So for some reason, if you enter that area at the right angle, you just kind of clip through, fall down, and now we can just aim ourselves and fall directly into the dojo. In the dojo, you can learn all kinds of cool techniques or whatever, and we're going to be learning two over here. One that's just very important to speed up this category. So up until now, whenever we had to do an infinite jump glitch, we only had a single jump to work with. So glitch, jump, glitch, jump. Now we have a double jump, which basically cuts the amount of KTs you have to do by a little more than half even, which is pretty awesome. It's also like the basis for most of the glitches in New Game. Being able to double jump is ridiculously strong here. The other thing I'm going to be learning is called Digging Champ, which is a pretty POC champ, OP. And anyway, this allows me to break through certain digging things, basically. In this case, we needed to get a brush upgrade a little later on. So it's actually required to get for the category. I've lost multiple minutes before by forgetting to get it right here, which is pretty annoying, to say the least. But yeah, now we're like all the way on the other side of this area, as you can see on the map. And we're gonna go into the next area already, which is the big city, basically. And the big city is a little cursed, and we're never gonna be lifting that curse. And right here I'm gonna be attempting another fight skip. I finally got it. Wow, I've been messing that one up in practice so often. So right there, by going to like very much the side of that little ramp, I can skip a fight. It's kind of useful. So yeah, as you can see, this area is a little cursed, and instead of helping out, we're just gonna go out of bounds right here. Use a few slope jumps. There we go. My angle's a bit weird, but I can work it. Then we're gonna use the map again, and we're gonna be doing another interior clip here. Clipping into the restaurant, which on the exterior area actually does not exist right now. But because this area is the same area the whole time, it already exists in the cursed state. Right here, we're actually learning a brush upgrade to a brush power we don't have yet, but the game is like, oh yeah, you got here, so it's totally fine. You're actually also in the game, when you first get into this area, you are supposed to have that brush power anyway. So the game doesn't even check if you've gotten it, because the game's like, oh, you can never sequence break this. But yeah, doing that also warps us like all the way to the other side of the area, so we have very little movement to get to this area. So we've gone from the commoners' quarters to the aristocratic quarter, and the bridge is raised. Luckily for us, we have infinite jumps, so we don't care about the bridge, and the bridge can just stay raised the whole time. No one can get in or out. Like that. There we go. And then we get to talk to Waka and jump through him. And we're going to be doing another very interesting and annoying skip. There we go. So you can go inside of that house over there, but there's like a lot of long cutscenes that you have to go through before you can exit again. So by jumping around it, we completely skip that, which is kind of useful. And right here, we're going to go into another area we're not supposed to be. There we go. So the idea of this part of the story is that the Emperor is sick and causing all this cursedness. But he's just sitting over here. He's fine. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, the Emperor's sick? Really? Look at him. He looks healthy. Totally fine. Again, like I said, we're not supposed to be here yet. But what we just bought from him is another brush upgrade. This one's called Mist Warp, which is a very, very useful ability. And we actually go out of our way to grab this as quickly as we can. It's basically the other fast travel system I talked about. And it allows us to travel between save mirrors, which is way, way more useful than the Mermaid Springs are. And you're only supposed to get this, like, very late into the game. But yeah, we get it like half an hour into this run. It's pretty strong. And then we get to talk to this woman. So this is the person we skipped. This is Rao. And we just talked to her a bunch of times. Basically, she's like, oh, I've lost this like really cool thing. It dropped down, like, it got, like, eaten by a water dragon, maybe, or it's, like, in a sunken ship. Hey, could you help me out on the sunken ship? Like, let me check it out, stuff like that. I don't fully remember that part of the story anymore, but, yeah. There we go. And now we're done in this area, we can continue on. Because we've done, we gotten the brush upgrades, we've gotten some story set up, so now we're gonna continue. So, I'm supposed to like do a couple of things before I can continue on to the next area. But again, we've got this really cool infinite jump glitch. And that allows us to sequence break the opening of this gate and just go straight into the loading zone behind it. And go into North Rio. So in North Rio, everything is already bloomed, and Waka comes up and says like, hey, you were so slow that I bloomed everything already. Seriously, you should be a lot faster than this. I'm sorry, it took me 31 minutes to get here. I'm trying my best. So rude. So right here, instead of continuing on, we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a detour. And we're going to be using the Mist Warp to do that. So this is one of the major route changes that saved us a lot of time. I'm basically going to warp back to Kamiki Village to get Sunrise and Lily Pad, the two brush powers I skipped all the way at the beginning of this run. And by using the mirror, we skip some annoying movement we have to do, and we get really close to these trees, which we have to bloom, which can sometimes be annoying. There we go. Bunch of circles. And remember all the way at the start, camera. I want to bloom that one too. We talked to two of these statues. We're going to talk to another one. And that gives us this big shining arrow. And will give us a sunrise when we get to the place where the arrow is pointing. So over here we're going to be doing some cool movement, which I recently figured out. Ah, I was a little bit early. Damn. Wow. There we go. So that movement skips a lot of running around, basically. Just quite slow to do. And saves like, what, 15 seconds, something like that, if you get it first try. It's pretty cool. So right here we just got sunrise, so now we can turn it day whenever we want to, basically. That's the idea of sunrise. And at the same time, we also got the prerequisite for this little bit, which is the Konohana Shuffle, which I will be quiet for. Oh. Circles, please. Sunrise at the end is not required, but it does look really swaggy. There we go. That's the Konohana Shuffle. And by finishing the Konohana Shuffle, we get another brush power. This brush power is Lily Pad, which is literally the most skipped brush power in the entire game. Maybe Catwalk now is. I'm not 100% sure how often Catwalks gets used, but Lily Pad is quite useless, so yeah. So now that we finished getting the Lily Pad, we're not going to continue on to the North Rio. We're instead going to go over here. To Kusa Village, and you might have seen that there was no icon for Kusa Village yet. For some reason, if you get mist warp, the game assumes that you've been to Kusa Village, and therefore you can just warp to it. It's really useful. It allows this whole like warping strat to work out, basically, and save a lot of time. Because we save a lot of movement that we would have to use to get up to Kusa Village, which is about 20 seconds just in movement, let alone everything else. It's really, really useful. So we're gonna have a little fight, and we're gonna lift the curse on this area. Should probably charge up a bit of speed. So right after this fight, we're gonna talk to Princess Fuse over here, who's going to, or Priestess Fuse, I guess. I'm not sure actually. And she's gonna give us the canine tracker, which will show us a bunch of dogs that we have to feed. And while I'm doing this, Zonorous, if you've got anything you want to be plugging or saying, feel free to go ahead.
I will indeed, thank you. So, we got €5 here from Izzy, saying Bork,
Bork,
Bork, Bork.
Bork.
Oh, thank you very much for that one. And yeah, as I alluded to the last time, after this run, we got Sanic Ball by Killer Chair, and we still got a bid war for the character choice, or for the ball, I guess. There's a lot of choices here. So we got M.A. Rose, we got Espio, we got Blows, Knuckles, Rogue, Sanic, Shadow, Sulfur, Tails, and Vector.
These names.
And yeah, I know, right? And currently in the lead is Espio with only €5. So currently, with only a donation of €6, you can basically decide which ball or character Killer Chair will be using in his upcoming run. And I'll promise you, I've seen the run before. Sonic Ball is a pretty hilarious game, so you definitely want to be the person who decides on the ball character thingy. So please get your donations in. Also, a €6 donation would bring us very nicely to 2,440.
Nice.
So that'd be nice.
Mm-hmm. So I just did another brush adventure right there, which allows me to bloom an area a little earlier without having to move around, saving another decent chunk of time. It's pretty cool. We call it Shin Warp because the dog that we warp to is called Shin. Good names. And right here we're feeding the last dog. And after feeding the dogs, we get to go to fight the last one, because the last one doesn't want to be fed, it wants to fight. There we go. And to do that, we're gotta go back to the area with Fusei. Ah! Wow. That hasn't happened to me in a long time. Wow. Good reactions. So right here, this is Tai. We're going to be fighting him using a secondary weapon that we have on, called the shotgun beads is what we call it, because it does this, basically. Boom. It basically shoots a lot of shots. It's a very powerful weapon, but at the same time we've got this special item on. It's a New Game Plus only item that gives us 10 times attack power, which is ridiculously strong, basically, and allows us to cheese fights even more. And then coming up next is actually a very interesting glitch. It's gonna take me a little bit to explain, but the thing you really need to know is that I'm gonna re-enter this area and make sure I don't reset my spawn point. After not doing that, I'm gonna void out, and then I'm gonna spawn back at the 000 location of this area. That's all you really need to know. All the mechanics are a little bit too much to explain. I got it first try, wow. So getting that jump is really difficult because I need a frame perfect jump there. So basically what I do is I mash with 2 fingers. There we go. And I use some of this to basically hold the direction, because you can actually hear if you've gotten the glitch if you're holding a direction. But we got it, and we warped into the middle of this dungeon, basically. It's really useful. It actually saves a lot of time over what we used to do. If done first try and then perfectly, it saves at least 4 minutes. It's really cool. Now I'm gonna do some more infinite jumps to get up to another area. I'm gonna have to focus on those for a moment, because these are frame perfect. So I've got 1/30th of a second to respond to them. I have a nice visual cue though, but I should focus on that. One more, should do the trick. There we go, and we saved speed, awesome. There we go. And that saves a whole bunch of time. It's pretty awesome. It's a cool trick. And then we're gonna go over here to this platform And on this platform, we're going to be drawing some wind. Basically, like, this is the area with the Divine Wind, and the Divine Wind is basically stopped. So we're going to restart it again by drawing those little circles and letting the windmill turn again. And that gives us a brush power called Gilstorm. There we go. And after getting Gilstorm, we're gonna test that out a little bit. Whee. And now we're basically finished with this area. There is a boss at the end of this area, of this dungeon, but we're just gonna completely skip him. But first we're gonna jump off of this platform. There we go, that was really well done. And I'm gonna try and skip a cutscene here. I haven't managed to do it, not even in practice. It's not that hard, it's just... I haven't figured out the parameters for it yet. Oh hey, we got it! Nice! First time I did that cutscene skip. Let's go! Ah. Basically, it's another one of those you run around the cutscene and that allows you to skip it moments. And right here, we're back at the place where we started earlier. Just the entry point of this dungeon. There we go. And now we are finally done with our detour. So we're gonna travel back to the North Rio section that we came from, basically. In case you forgot. Finally done with this little loop. There we go. Which allows me to have a sip of water in a bit. There we go. I believe it was down, right? Yeah. Sip of water. So now that we've done that bit, we're gonna go over to this merchant over here and we're gonna buy some items. There's a few items that don't carry over to New Game Plus. One of the all the story related items don't carry over, and mermaid coins. And we need mermaid coins to fast travel between the mermaid springs. And we're gonna only need to use a single one in this entire run. So yeah, that's cool. And right here we're gonna summon our trusty water steed, Orca. There we go. There's Orca. Ain't he beautiful? So Orca allows us to swim through this area a lot faster. It's very useful. And if you don't use Orca, you basically get eaten by a dragon, so that's not really useful, is it? And we're gonna go over to this next area. There we go. This is Catcall Tower. There's gonna be a bunch of cats, so if you've got any cat emotes, feel free to use them whenever you hear a meow. If you don't feel like doing that, that's also totally fine. I don't mind. It's fine. And we just did another little fight skip, and we're gonna be jumping up this tower for a while. I do that by basically jumping off backwards and then doing a double jump. It's pretty rough on the thumb. It's gonna take a little bit, so Zonorous, to you I give the honors.
Thank you very much. So, my plea was heard again, and we got another donation here. We got 10 euros from Anonymous saying, last run I saw of this was done with another character, but this time I believe Vactor is the way to go. And referencing, of course, for the next run, the Sanic Ball. And yeah, indeed. Aspio is no longer in the lead. It is now Vactor, or Vector, or however you pronounce that. So, yeah. debt that we're still going on, and thank you very much for that donation. That brings us to a very nice total of 2,444. That's a lot of fours. So anybody in chat want to quickly donate 2,000 so we get to 4,444? Check. But no, seriously, thank you all very much for all of your donations. They are highly appreciated. And remember, all of those, 100% of all those donations go directly towards Mind, a very beautiful charity for mental health and preventing mental health issues. And yeah, there's a lot of that going around these days. So it's definitely a very good charity to donate towards. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yes. So right at the end there, we're gonna go to the top, and there's a little cat here. We're gonna give him some fish, make him happy, make him meow at us. Here we go. There we go. All the cats triggered. And we're gonna get another brush power, which is also quite useless. And quick reminder to always stretch before you do any kind of gaming, because damn, my thumb is not happy with me. Oh, it's the reason I always stretch for when I run Okami. It's just, oof, it's rough on the hands. So yeah, what Catwalk allows us to do is draw those lines from a statue, which allows us to jump up on it like the same way we did this whole tower. And right here we're gonna use, the only time we're gonna use this mermaid spring, we're gonna throw in a coin, and we're gonna warp all the way back to Agata Forest, very close to where we started. And we're gonna continue clearing this area. So because we're a little bit further ahead in this story, we got Kushi over here. And Kushi is gathering water for making sake. A really, really good sake that I wish I could drink. But over here, it basically attracts monsters. So we're gonna use Susano here to cut down on the monsters a little bit. Roar! Roar! There we go. Why couldn't the cat eat Issen? Yeah, that would have been nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, there we go. And now suddenly the canine trigger appears again. What? Is there something happening with a dog? We need to help him. So because we've returned to this area a little later on as well, there's going to be some really cool kind of weird sequencey stuff going on here. We're basically going to be doing fishing once, but it's going to count as if we did fishing twice at the same time. It's really interesting. It's giving me the tutorial for fishing as well, even though it gave me like a little cutscene like, oh hey, we're going to be fishing some stuff. So the way fishing works is basically you have to hold a direction opposite to the fish. And that way you draw it in, and you power slash it to death. And there we go. And we don't really care much for Kokagi's health here, because we basically will be able to catch the last fish without having to deal with it. So this is the last fish. Story-related fishes will always have two fishes first, and then the fish that needs to be fished for the story. There we go. And damn, that is one whopper of a salmon. That's a joke. Basically the idea is, because we're doing two fishings at the same time technically, the game is going to give us the rewards for catching that salmon, but it's also going to give us a reward for catching what's called the whopper, which is going to give us the crescent brush power. And with the crescent brush power we can make it night whenever we want, which is useful. And right here at the end we're going to be saying no to violence, because violence solves nothing. And for the longest of times we've done that fight. And we've never thought about saying no to that fight until like, what, 3 months ago? It's kind of stupid. It also gives us a key, by the way, at the end there. And we are going to skip using that key, because the key gives us a really long, slow cutscene. So we're just going to jump straight into the loading zone, into our next dungeon, where I'm going to be doing a couple of KTs. I have to focus again. Yo, we got Kin and Clip. It's the one trick that's been named after me because I'm the only one that does it. I basically clip through the bottom. It's very, very annoyingly finicky. Usually you just do an extra infinite jump and go around. But infinite jumps take a long time to do, about 2.5 seconds. So anytime you can skip doing that, it saves time. It's useful. So coming up in a little bit is what we refer to as the infamous cutscene skip. On this version of the game, well, actually on any version of the game, there's a cutscene skip here that only allows that you can only skip on a single frame. There's a single frame where you can skip that cutscene, which means that on any of the modern versions, it's literally impossible. And over here, it's like you just mash and pray and hope you get it. So we're going to be trying to get that right here. It's coming up. I'm going to mash right now. And we got the cutscene skip. Awesome. So if I had failed that cutscene skip, it would have showed me like, oh, you have to move over here now. And that loses you about 18 seconds worth of time. So it's a really annoying way to lose 18 seconds over getting the cutscene skip. Oh, some nice mashing. Go. Jump over here. And go straight into this center area. Because we did that thing on the top, we can now go to this area, which allows us to basically get a new brush power. And to do that, we have to bloom these areas. For people who played the game before, it's not about like filling the whole area. I basically just draw 6 circles on top of each other, and that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. It's just an amount of ink needs to be used. And then we got a new brush power. This is Vine. It basically allows us to pull things towards these little pink blossoms, which is pretty nice. It's actually one of the things we need to finish the game with to be able to beat one of the bosses. And over here, I'm gonna screw up another cutscene skip. Need to jump really quickly there to get over the cutscene, but I elongated my jumps a bit too much. Oh well. I got the other cutscene skip. I'm happy. I don't care. I don't care about losing these, what, 15 seconds? It's fine. And now we're gonna leave this area. So there is a boss at the end there, and after that boss you could technically be able to leave Agata Forest here and go to Taka Pass, but since we already went there, we don't need to do the boss at all. Basically, we're going to be skipping all of the bosses except for one, and then at the end there's a bunch of bosses as well that we need to do. It's a little silly. So now that we're finished over here, we're gonna go to the next big route change, basically. Usually in the route at this point we'd be doing another dungeon, but instead of doing that, we're going back to North Rio to do some cleanup. We're gonna get a few brush powers, and then we're gonna trigger a few more story elements that are related to a different arc than the other dungeon. So we're gonna go back on Orca here to get some new brush powers. we go. So right in the distance there you have the water dragon. Now if I were not on Orca, I would basically void out whenever I get close to him. But in this case, all it does is slow me down a little bit if it gets too close. Which it didn't, which is nice. Quite lucky there. And we're gonna leave Orca right there and go up into this area. So right here we're gonna draw a bomb to enter, and we're gonna trigger the bomb using a fire power because that instantly lets the bomb explode. Makes sense. And then we get to this spring. So these are donation springs. Basically you can donate a certain amount of yen, and by donating the maximum amount 3 times we get a brush upgrade. There we go. So that gives us Cherry Bomb 2, which allows us to draw 2 Cherry Bombs rather than just 1. Which is honestly actually in this run kind of useful to have, because sometimes you might misplace a bomb, and it's nice to have another bomb in that case. It saves you some time. So now we're done with this island, we're gonna jump back onto Orca. It's always important to remember where you've parked your Orca. Or your vehicle for that matter. And we're gonna park him over here. Boy, I messed up that jump. I'm gonna make sure I do the power slash a little bit higher up, because some of those pots contain items that will go into my inventory, and if they do, they completely screw it over, which is really annoying. And we got another donation spring. And in this case, after this, we're gonna get power slash 2, which allows us to basically power slash bigger rocks, so to speak, or stronger rocks. It's useful for like if you want to get a lot of praise and whatever, but in New Game Plus it's not very useful. There we go. And this is what I mentioned with remembering where I parked my Orca. There we go. Now we're going to be doing some swimming, then we're going to do some fishing, and then we're going to do some more swimming. So Zonoris, if you want to have the mic for a moment, feel free to take it. You're also free to just not say anything if you prefer.
Oh no, I'd like to take this opportunity because we got a few more donations here.
Awesome.
We got €5 from Roth saying, "So amazing to see my childhood games speedrun. Double point D. Keep up the good work, gamers." And we also got €15 from the Scarlet Devil saying, "Hello everyone. It just happens to be my birthday, and seeing one of my favorite games being speedrun made this day even better. Wish you all a wonderful day and good luck on the speedrun kinning."
Thank you, and a happy birthday.
Yep, I was just about to say the same. Thank you very much for the donation, and happy birthday to you, the Scarlet Devil. Hope you're having an amazing day today. And yeah, thanks all for the donations. Currently we're at 2,464. Anybody wanna donate €5 for a very special number there? But yeah, thanks for that.
So right here we're fishing the Marlin, who is an annoying little bitch and should just shut up and get in my... basically the Marlin just kind of turns a little bit too often, which makes it a very annoying thing. There are ways to manipulate him, but I didn't get the right luck for that. Got a little bit unlucky here. But that's okay. It's one of the few luck-based elements in the run, is fishing. It only loses you a couple of seconds sometimes. Very rarely you can lose like, what, a solid 10 seconds to one of the fish just kind of glitching out and just staying really, really far away for a really long amount of time. It's really obnoxious when that happens. So right here we made it night while we're on Orca, which basically delays the cutscene a little bit. So right as I get off of Orca, I can just mash the skip button, allowing me to skip it before it even gets a chance to get going. Which is kind of useful. And now we're gonna go over here. And because the reason we made it night is we're gonna get close to this dude over here, who is the Watcher of the Cape. And we're gonna draw a star, which shoots away. And he's gonna wish on the star to get this beautiful galaxy to appear. There's one issue with the galaxy though. It's not spinning. So let's summon some wind. That way it'll spin. Look at that. 3 times, and we got a beautiful spinning galaxy. Isn't that wonderful? And by spinning the galaxy, we summon a whirlpool in the sea. Isn't magic beautiful? There we go. That's why you remember where you parked your Orca. So you can always get on top of him really quickly. Take that as you may. So we're going to go straight into the whirlpool, and this whirlpool gets us underwater into the Dragon Palace. Now what you're supposed to be doing here is you're supposed to go into the front door, talk to the queen, and she gives you a pass that allows you to go to the side areas. But we've got this cool infinite jump glitch, you know, so I'm just gonna go straight to the side areas. How about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's important to count how many KTs you're doing. There we go. And this is why we got that one god technique a little bit earlier that allows us to dig through here. And we're going to be doing a cool little trick over here. I'm going to hold left and mash the jump button. And that allows us to jump over the start area over here. Basically, what you're supposed to be doing is you're going to be falling down, and then you have to make your way all the way back up, which takes about a minute to do. But instead, by jumping over like that, we save that minute, which is really cool. It's a neat little trick. So again, in the digging game, we're gonna try and get the lady to the bottom as quickly as possible. There we go. There we go. .503. That's pretty good. That was a pretty good digging game. Not bad at all. And after we finish the digging game, there's water back into this spring. But there's a problem with the spring. There's no swirly whirly. So we need to make a swirly whirly. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna run around, and I'm gonna draw a circle. And by drawing a circle, we get the swirly whirly, aka the mermaid spring. And we also get a brush upgrade that allows us to fast travel using these mermaid springs without having to use any mermaid coins. But we're never gonna use that. There we go. Gonna go straight up for a moment, jump out of bounds, or barely out of bounds. That was very close to not working. And we're gonna jump all the way out of bounds to the other area in this section, which houses the water dragon, or at least its mouth. And we're gonna jump inside of the mouth to go inside of the water dragon. Now inside the water dragon, I'm gonna be doing more respawn shenanigans. I'm gonna jump over here and then perform a trick that we call sleepwalking. Basically, by switching KT right before landing, the game basically skips the landing animation and therefore also skips setting your respawn point. So we're going to be using that throughout this area to make sure I never set my respawn point again, basically. So my respawn point at all times will be all the way at the start of this area. It's very useful. I actually used it during the Origin Warp as well. But over here, it allows us to basically do some cool movement shenanigans. There we go. Gonna set up over here to keep running. And now we're gonna water spout something in the back over there while we're running. It'll basically warp us on the other side of this little gate. If we do everything correctly, which we did. Jump at the end, there we go. And then we get into this fox fight. Basically, just use slips, and we're power slashing them to skip their death animation, because their death animation is incredibly slow. Missed a couple there. That's fine. As you can see how long it takes for them to die. And by doing this, we get this really big acid attack. And now what we're going to be doing is, since I've never set my respawn point, and that little cutscene as well didn't set my respawn point either, I'm going to be jumping out of bounds. There we go. Make sure I don't mess up here. Okay, cool. And I'm going to let Emmy drown. I'm going to be moving a bit because I'm not sure where the boundaries are. Okay, there we go. Now we're stationary. And by drowning, we respawn. And because I never set my respawn point except for at the beginning, I just warp back to the beginning. It's a really cool method of death warping. So far, it's only been found useful in this area, but it's a really cool little glitch that allows us to get to the endpoint here. There we go. And now finally, all the way at the end of the area, we're finally going to be talking to the Queen, something we should have done at the start. And it's going to give us like a vision of like, oh, one of our friends is in danger, we need to help our friends. So we're going to go over and help our friends, I guess. Might be useful to do. Let me think. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a little... do you have a short donation, maybe, Zonorous?
Yeah, I have one short one here.
Yeah, go ahead.
We got €5 from Moon Kitten saying, "Hi, Kinnan, you're great. Bork, bork, bork."
Thank you, Moo. It's Moo Kitten, by the way, not Moon Kitten.
Oh, right.
Very important.
Yes, I'm sorry. Reading is a skill that sometimes doesn't work.
So over here, I'm gonna be performing a really funny glitch. I'm gonna grab this horse, switch KTs, and whee! It's my favorite thing to show off during a marathon run. It is literally the most useless glitch in the game, but it's fun. We call it telekinetic grab. It's a fun little thing. So at this point in the story triggers that we've gotten set up right now, we're supposed to be flying... we're supposed to be going to a temple a little bit further out here. But instead of doing that, we're going to be finishing another story arc that we've set up. We're going to be doing a nice little clip over here. So in this little area, you can see Amy bouncing a little bit. And whenever there's like a little corner where you bounce to left or right like that, you can clip through it. And that way it allows us to go out of bounds inside the ship and go straight into the loading zone that allows us to go into the ship. And then we're inside Sunken Ship, which has got another really cool glitch coming up. So we're gonna set up over here. Set my camera correctly. There we go. And then we're gonna move around a little bit and do a brush adventure that allows us to use Sunrise basically out of bounds. And what that does is this. It raises the water level of the area, and it does it out of bounds, which is really cool. It basically allows us to get out of bounds as well. And do a few, by doing a few KTs, we can basically skip most of this area and go straight into the final bit of this area. Or basically the reason why we're here. There we go, clip through the stairs. And go through this door. So the only reason we don't go straight into this door is that otherwise we can't open this area and leave here. So we have to do it like this. Cut open this chest, and we get the Lucky Mallet. The Lucky Mallet we're going to be using a little bit later on. For now we're just going to be leaving this area and going to the other story bit that we've triggered. As you can hear, the music is still playing. This music is not supposed to be playing here, by the way. There we go. Now we're gonna be attacked by the water dragon. It's mad for what we've done inside of him, so it's gonna eat us again and then spit us out on the beach because it doesn't want us to be messing around inside of him anymore. It's very mad, which is fair. We've done some weird shit. And now we're gonna go to this area. So you see the Lucky Mallet bouncing behind us. It's like telling us to go to another side of the area. Is basically giving us the normal way of entering Sion. But we're going to be using the other story trigger we've got currently to jump over here, get a little cutscene of our friend being a ghost and definitely dead. And she shows us a secret area. Ooh, that's cool. So this is a shortcut all the way to the Sion Aristocratic Quarter. This is not going to be the only time we're using it, but in this case it's like story related that we're using it. There we go. And we enter the inside of the big palace of Sion. But instead of going inside of the palace, I'm gonna make my way outside instantly. There we go. Do the palace escape, as we call it, and we're gonna go back to the Imperial Palace, where I went earlier to buy the fast travel system, basically. And in this case, we're gonna go over here, and now we're gonna use the Lucky Mallet. So the cool thing about the Lucky Mallet is it basically shrinks us down and allows us to go into this bit. That's the idea of what the Lucky Mallet does. Next, we're going to be performing a very precise glitch. I'm going to do a very precise angle setup, and then we're going to do a power slash. There we go. That was pretty fast. There we go. And that cuts a random pot somewhere in the... What? Where? Huh? So this is called, confusingly, Mist Warp. Basically, because of the distances to that pot, the developers made it possible to cut that pot from any distance. So basically, by doing a very precise angle movement all the way at the start, we can basically cut it down right as we begin and warp all the way to the pot and get ourselves our new brush power called Mist. And Mist allows us to slow down time. It's a pretty useful brush power in casual play, especially in boss fights. I highly recommend using it in boss fights if you're having a little bit of trouble. But over here we're not really going to be using it, we only need it for the category. Now what we used to do back in the day is we used to go out of bounds right now, and just fly straight to the final boss of the boss of this area. But now what we're doing is we're just gonna go straight back outside of this area. We don't need to finish this area anymore, it's totally fine. Basically, by finishing the area for the speedrun, it gives us another fast travel mermaid spring, but we're gonna be skipping that. There we go. And, we were busy with, I think, the palace, right? Yeah, let's go back to the palace. Let's go back to the palace. Let's do that. Cool thing about the palace is once you get close to the walls over here, Issun just puts you back inside like that. It's pretty nice. Makes getting past the guards a lot easier if Issun just, like, teleports you past them. It's a nice little thing. And we're gonna go straight in here, which allows me to have a drink. Ah, much better. So right here we got a bunch of lava, and we're going to be using another one of those liquid KTs to jump over it. There is a ridiculously precise setup to jump over that lava from this side, basically, from the starting side, without having to use any KTs. But it involves, I believe, 3 frame perfect inputs. It's really difficult. It's used currently in the new game speedrun, at least the world record, and it's pretty awesome. It's a really awesome trick. There we go. One, two, three. Now we're going to be jumping back over. On the way back, it's a lot easier to make it without the KT, but I'm going to use the KT because there's a cutscene there that will basically force me into the lava and make me respawn, lose some time. It's not nice. So now that we've finished this bit, we're going to go into our next dungeon, but that's going to take a little bit of movement. So, Zonorous, I call upon thee.
Yes, you summoned me, master.
Master, oh. Bit too kinky for me.
Well, I got one more donation here with a little bit of a longer text. That's why I didn't read it earlier. But we have 5 euros from Tiny Tim saying, "Hey all, donating for the amazing Kinnan and the Okami run. Always a pleasure to see this game being run at BSG. Good luck on the run and shoutouts to the always awesome Zonorous. Cheers." And that goes right back to you, friend. Thank you very much for the donation, Tiny Tim. And yeah.
Shoutouts to Tiny Tim.
Indeed, shoutouts to Tiny Tim. Yeah, I don't really have more here.
Oh, that's fine. Can just let people enjoy the good music. So that's the nice thing about doing marathon runs for Okami. You can just kind of let the game speak for itself. So right there in the distance, you see the dungeon we're going to be traveling to. It will disappear before we when it becomes night, but that's not gonna happen because I'm too fast for that. So there's an intended way to get up here, but the intended way is slow, so we're just gonna do 2 KTs here. There we go. And go around here. I'm gonna be jumping over this corner real quick, because there's a fight trigger over there that I'm trying to not hit. Skip around, and we're gonna go over here. And after this, we get a little bridge all the way to the dungeon. Right at the start of this dungeon, I'm gonna be trying to perform another origin warp. I only have a 1 shot for it, and it's a little bit more difficult to do. So let's hope that we maybe get it. Nope, we didn't get it. Oh well, that's alright. Would have been really cool to show off. I don't really do it in runs because it's technically a little bit slower. But it's a really cool one. So I always try to go for it in marathon runs at least once. But it takes a bit more effort to do. Instead we're actually going to be fast, I guess. That's fine. So again, we're going out of bounds here. This is called the Labyrinth Skip. Because inside the area, the dungeon, there's like a bunch of labyrinth races that we need to do. But instead of doing that, we just go outside and go straight to where we need to go. It's important to land right, to jump right as you land, called green hopping. That basically allows you to keep your height on these slopes that want to push you down as far as they can. Because we're not supposed to be here. And at the end, we regenerate this little arrow, and we get a new brush power. And that was really fast. Nice. Good stuff. And our next brush power is called Thunderstorm, which allows us to do the same thing as Water Spout, except with thunder. Which is kind of neat. Now, because we're doing this area a little bit out of whack, basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hopping different maps, so to speak. This dungeon exists on 5 different maps, 5 different areas. So we're basically going out of bounds here to go straight to our next map. And I kind of messed up the jump there, so I'm going to have to do another KT to fix that, and then we get into the 2D section. Now for the 2D section, there's a set of decently precise movements, so I can make a cycle. Basically, I'm trying to make a specific cycle with this big bamboo shoot thing in the middle. There we go. Grab the key, and then we head back. And I made the cycle. Awesome. There we go. That was a really fast one, actually. That's the fastest way you can get it. I love it. And then once we hit the key there, another cycle starts. But we're gonna have to wait at the end of this cycle anyway, so I can just kind of take it easy here. Take a moment to kind of relaxedly walk rather than trying to be fast. Because we need to wait for this wheel. Let's see if I can get this one cycle. Not a true one cycle, but that's alright. Here we go. You can get that last wheel without having to power slash it, but it's a little tricky. I didn't get it there. It's always nice to have the backup of the power slash at the very least. So, the best character in this game is Toby. And Toby lovers will rejoice to know that I will be not killing Toby because I absolutely messed up this trick. Oh my god. I need to do a couple of KTs without losing my air tackle. Okay, this could work. I'm gonna attempt it at the very least. Come on. So we're gonna vine from here. Oh, don't tell me. Oh, no, 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 no. Come on. Come on, game, be nice. It's a little tricky. We're doing things that the game doesn't like us to do. The vine is gonna pull us out of bounds. We're gonna bonk, and then we're gonna let the vine pull us again. And that allows us to basically skip that little gate, and instead of having to kill Toby at the end there. We call that Toby Skip. It's pretty cool. If done perfectly, it looks really cool and saves time, but I tried to be fancy, and because I tried to be fancy, I lost time. Aww. So right here we're gonna finally have a boss fight. It took us 1.5 hours, but we're gonna have a boss fight, everyone. Woo! Everyone excited? So I sure aren't. This is Ninetales. Ninetales is kind of interesting. In the first phase, he's basically invincible, and then every time you hit him with Thunderstorm, he will split up into these different versions of himself, and you have to hit them to basically remove tails. And once you've gotten rid of all the tails, basically you can finally go to the second phase and actually kill Ninetales. There we go. So that's happening right now. I'm getting close, and I'm gonna mash my beads attack to basically almost one-shot him. Sometimes you one-shot him, sometimes you don't. Well, that's alright. Skipping the save. We do not want to save our game here. And then we're finished with that section, which is kind of nice. Nope. I lost speed. Yeah. No, I do not want to expect fish. There we go. So earlier in the run, we fished up this Marlin, and it was taken to the chef. And now the chef is gonna make some delicious food with it, and give us a new brush power. This is Whirlwind. Basically, when you use it, you summon a whirlwind around you that causes a lot of damage to everything near it. Excuse me. But it's not very useful in the speedrun. There we go. Nope. And now, finally, I mentioned it earlier, but we're gonna go to that dungeon I mentioned a while back, that we have to do basically to get more brush powers. We're gonna have another boss fight. Isn't that exciting? And this time it's actually going to be a cool boss fight, so stay tuned for that. It's gonna take me a couple of minutes to get there. So you can hear this thunder rumbling and everything. That's basically because we defeated Ninetales. It gives us an easy access point to the next area of the game, but we're not going to go there yet because first we need to finish this next dungeon. And I'm gonna drink some more water. So over there you see that purple thing, that's a barrier. You're supposed to defeat a boss and that way it'll open, but it's a very long cutscene as well. So instead of going to defeat that boss and everything, we're just gonna skip the barrier because the barrier isn't infinitely high. 2, 3... 4. Wrong inputs. Yep. Lost a little bit too much height there. There you go. I'm not perfect. And now we're gonna go into Moon Cave, which is a pretty cool area. And I'll be explaining more about it a little bit when we get to the cool bits. But if you're a fan of Out of Bounds, this is the place for you. So we're starting off in the Calcified Cavern. What you're supposed to be doing here is you need to grab a mask all the way at the end, draw a funny face on it, and then you can go past the imps. But instead of doing that, we're going to be KTing out of bounds. I'm going to let myself drop down again because I would like to keep my air tackle for this bit. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. There we go. There we go. 2 KT, that was pretty good. And that way we go inside of the Moon Cave. So this is Moon Cave. It's a pretty cool place. The idea of this area is that we need to make an appetizer for the end boss all the way at the end, or the boss at the end. So we're gonna move around the area to get all the ingredients, basically. And by using that vine over there, we can kind of skip talking to the chef first, and instead just go straight into the next area. I'm gonna use some more vines here. I would also advise chat to stop talking about the Okami versus Okami debate, because it's a very boring debate that no one is happy to have. There we go. So, to get the ingredients, we basically have to defeat these demon gates. And we get, for instance, the ogre liver, because who doesn't want some nice and tasty ogre liver? I sure don't. I'm gonna use some more vines to get back to the other side. And then instead of falling down right here, we're gonna welcome everyone to Moon Cave, where the ceilings don't exist and the walls don't matter. So this is the main feature of Okami, of Moon Cave in New Game Plus. Basically, we're gonna go out of bounds because everything is on the same map at the same time. So we can just move from area to area where we need stuff. Okay, come on KTs, work with me. So I'm trying to get into that area right now. Come on, stop being rude. Have I mentioned that this trick is frame perfect? There we go. And then instead of doing the thing to open the gate, we're just going to jump over the gate. Because this area is not calculated to have double jump. We're not supposed to have double jump at this point. So a lot of the cool new game tricks basically allow you to jump over things, which is pretty neat. There we go. And by doing that little fight, we get ourselves a new brush power. This is Inferno. It basically allows us to control fire very much in the same way that we control water and thunder. So, like this. So that's cool. That's why we're here. But sadly, we do need to actually finish this area, so we're gonna have to fight the boss at the end here. But again, ceilings don't exist. And we can just go back into the main area right here. I'm gonna KT in a very specific direction. Oh, one more. There we go. And we're gonna vine to this flower that appeared. That allows us to go up. And we're gonna use another flower. And we're gonna vine again. Oh, that was a bit... There we go. Now what you're supposed to do here is like load a cannon and like shoot the wall, but we can just jump over the wall. Because again, there are no ceilings. Isn't that wonderful? Right here we got some ice blocks. I'm gonna fire burst them away to get to our next ingredient. And in this case that is a black demon horn. Known for its peppery flavor. There we go. And again, we go out of bounds. One more jump for safety. There we go. And on to the next fight. So this fight gives us an eye. I mean, eyes are definitely a delicacy in some cultures, so who am I to judge? There we go. And in this case we can use a vine to go back into this area. So now we are inside of the kitchen, where we're supposed to go first, but we're gonna go in through here last. And by using Inferno we can get to this back area that gives us another ingredient. And you know, after an ogre liver, a black demon horn, and an eye, you know, maybe some lips. Yeah, we'll add some lips to this appetizer. Lovely. Now the problem is the chef is nowhere to be found. So we're gonna lift up the pot and... oh hey! He fell into his own pot. There we go. We talked to him to give him the ingredients. And then we're gonna go outside. Outside. We're gonna go back into the central area, set ourselves up to talk to him. And then we're gonna ring this bell 8 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I miscounted apparently. And now I have some time to drink some water. Tasty, tasty water. So that's the appetizer. There we go. I'm gonna be doing some movement, so Sonorous, if you have anything you want to plug, go ahead. Very short.
Sure, can do. Alright, so I would like to give a quick shout out to ESA, who are supporting this event right here with their Twitch channel, or rather for allowing us to stream this event on their Twitch channel. So ESA just finished up their summer marathon like 2 weeks ago or something. But yeah, for more information about the European Speedrunner Assembly, you can go to esamarathon.com and check out all the information there for things that might come up in a bit.
Yeah.
And as a thank you, maybe if you still have your monthly Twitch Prime gaming sub available, you know, maybe consider dropping it here, because ESA
I'm gonna cut in here. We're gonna get to this boss fight. I'm gonna be doing some cutscene shenanigans, so I'm gonna go to the left here to trigger this head, and by triggering it, all the other heads can trigger. So I can then basically cut him back loose, and then I can water this one, and that basically allows me to get these two cutscenes very close together very quickly, which saves a lot of time. And then again, we're going to trigger this head again, which allows me to do this one and this one at the same time. Wake him back up, and that allows us to water 3 heads at once, which is a very cool fast strat, because we need to make 3 heads drunk, basically. And what you're seeing in these pools here is sake, basically. It's the sake that Kushi was making, actually. Go over here. Now I'm gonna do some equipment shenanigans. We're gonna be doing some cool equipment stuff. There we go. So basically I equipped a different set of beads with a different kind of attack. We call these the machine gun beads, because it basically allows us to kill these heads really quickly. I also used an item that ups my power and an item that makes me invincible, basically, for a time. It's a very recent strat found by Saunders, who has been doing a lot of work finding a lot of cool strats. It's a really cute little strat that I really enjoy. The old strat was a lot slower than this. There we go, and now we get to cut up all of the heads. One by one. There we go. And that's Orochi. Boom. Now we're gonna get this weird cutscene over there. You're supposed to see Queen Himiko there, but because Queen Himiko died earlier, in the cutscene she just doesn't appear. It's kind of funny. I love that. So you're gonna hear some crackling over here. That's not audio related. That's just the game giving crackles. So this is another little strat that was found recently. What you're supposed to be doing here is you're supposed to leave, and every time Issen will hold you back, is like, "Oh, don't you want to enjoy this party?" And like, what? But instead of doing that, we warp to the area we're supposed to be going, so that the cutscenes that happen when you leave the area still happen. So you don't get stuck in infinite night. And after doing that, we can just continue, and it saves a pretty decent chunk of time. Again, another small recent find. Next, we're gonna give this guy a Traveler's Charm, which wards him from the demons. And by allowing him to ward off the demons, we can do races against him. And these races are very annoying. I cheese them a little bit by basically doing speed restoration, but I can still miss the tackle at the end. And whenever I do, I lose like a solid 10 seconds, which is really annoying when that happens. And he also has these little sea urchins he throws behind him, or like little traps, whatever it is. If you get hit by them, you basically recoil, and you cannot dash through them, you cannot tackle through them, basically. So I need to aim and tackle wisely, especially on this third one. There we go. That was pretty good. Best I've had in a while. So now we're gonna go on to the next area. If I can do a KT, thank you. And we're gonna move around here. Oh, messed it up a little bit. It's fine. Just gonna do a KT. And we're gonna use this thunderstorm to open this giant dome. I like to call it the Thunder Dome. For obvious reasons. And this dome opens up the loading zone to the next area. Here we go. Yeah. So this area is basically Hokkaido, is how you should see it. It's called Kamui, and it's basically stuck in a perpetual blizzard, which is not good. And it's also cursed, so we're gonna have to bloom the big tree again. And to do that, we're gonna do some more out-of-bounds shenanigans. There we go. Basically, we're gonna fall out of bounds here and go underneath the tree, which allows us to bloom it from here. You're supposed to break this giant rock that you see here, but by going underneath it, we don't need to do it at all, which is a really, really, really good time saver. Go. And then we got another little fight here, fight trigger over on the left. This is actually a soft lock point in New Game Plus any %. If you hit this fight, your run is basically over because you do not have the brush power to complete the fight. We do, but it's still faster to skip the fight. And we're gonna go straight into this area where we need 2 bombs to enter. And that brings us back to another donation fountain. And we'll be getting Cherry Bomb 3. Which basically, instead of allowing us to draw 2 bombs, we can now draw 3 bombs. Who would have guessed? There we go. So now that we've done that, we're going to continue on into the village of this area. But instead of just doing stuff in the village, we're going to be doing some backtracking to basically get 2 brush upgrades we haven't gotten yet. And this involves a lot of movement, which should pique the ears of our great and wonderful Zonoris that he has some time to say some stuff.
Right. That sounds pretty cool. So, since slowly but surely we're coming towards the end of this run, I want to remind everybody that for the next run, Sonic Ball, we got a donation incentive where you, the viewers, can decide which character or ball thing, whatever, Killer Chair is going to be using during the Sonic Ball. Currently in the lead is still Vector. But there's a bunch of like weird names like Knuckles and Sonic and Shadow, Sulfur, Tails. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here. And the winner currently is only 16 euros. So that is a very beatable number. So if you want to have anything else than that, please consider donating. And the choice might be all yours. There is only a couple of minutes left here before that closes, so if you want to get in on that, you better be semi-quick here.
So right here we're gonna water these stones. You might notice, by the way, that Scion is still in its cursed state, even though we're really far into the game. And it's also actually just like playing the happy music, basically the normalcy music, but it's still cursed. There's still mist here, and they can deal with it themselves. Don't worry about it. Also, this if anyone is photosensitive, this is a good moment to walk out for about half a minute. So gonna be a lot of big flashing images. I'll mention when you can look again. So as you can see, there's still a lot of cursed areas here, and it makes KTing through here a little bit more annoying. There we go. So earlier we got these Ida races, and he gave us a special item, and we give that special item to this dude, who teaches us gives us a new brush upgrade, namely Thunderbolt, which basically allows us to summon thunder wherever we want. There we go. And basically like, oh, it doesn't look like much has happened, but if you notice, right before I jump down, the clock is ticking and it's actually working and moving and everything. It's really cool. So we got another bunch of flashing white images coming up right here. There we go. One more flash and then we're done with flashing images for a little bit. So if anyone is photosensitive, feel free to look back on the screen and see the wonder that is Okami. There we go. And now for one of my favorite images. So fast. So now that we've gotten our 2 brush upgrades, we're gonna go back to Kamui and start finishing the game for once. How about that? Still got a long ways to go, but hey, we're getting there. Wrong direction again. So now we're back in the village called Webcare. And all the villagers are basically very scared of us and they left. So you know, like, how about like we leave them to their own devices and stop scaring them? So we're just gonna go over here, and there's this gate. You're supposed to open it, but we've got this cool infinite jump glitch that allows us to just jump around it like so and continue on. So I'm gonna be doing a trick I haven't done in a while, so I'm gonna re-explain it. So the interesting part of areas in this game is that the interior areas of an area, that's a lot of area, is below the exterior area of that map, basically. So by jumping out of bounds and lining myself up on a specific location, there we go, I can basically fall into an area, and in this case I'm trying to fall into a loading zone, like this. And that loading zone is all the way at the top of this section. This trick on its own saves like 50 seconds. It doesn't look like much, but it's the amount you have to walk to get up here is pretty large. Like if you look where I am now, it's ridiculous. And we're gonna go into our last dungeon. Again, using an out-of-bounds skip, by the way. Just casual out-of-bounds stuff, you know? I've done so many now. So right over here, these cannons will hit you if you run on the ice. So we're gonna run on the shoulder here, so we don't get hit by the cannons at all, and we don't have to use mist. And this is Wauku's Shrine. We're basically just not gonna interact with it at all. We're just gonna KT all the way up. There we go. And it's gonna take a good solid 10 to 20, 10 to 12? I can't... Yeah, 10 to 12 KTs to do. I accidentally used an item there, that's not good. I would like to keep the item, so I'll have to rebuy it in a bit. Got another shopping menu to go anyway, so it's fine. Oh, come on. Game is rude. Oh, no. I hate when this happens. Okay, cool. We got the KT. Ah! Oh, that was scary. When you get really close to the railing there, the camera tries to be a dick. And that can really screw up the last KT. So, I'm really happy I got that one right before it got too difficult to do. There we go. Jump straight into this fight. We recently discovered that this fight is mandatory. If you skip this fight, you will literally soft lock. Like, literally be, like, unable to move or anything. It is kind of funny. I messed up. So right here, I am basically using my brush as a way to pause the game to see in what positions these eyes are. I know the positions I need to have them by heart, and that way I can quickly go through here rather than having to use mist, which is nice. And then we get our final brush power. This is called Blizzard. It allows us to control ice, like that. And right after getting that, we also get a new weapon. Which we're gonna leave on for now. It's not the strongest weapon that we have in our arsenal, but it's useful in the way I do things, basically. There we go. And basically by going out of bounds here, we can fall all the way back to the start of the area and leave again. We don't need to finish and beat any of the 2 bosses that are in there. And now, I'm gonna jump down here and get our final brush upgrade. So this upgrade is Power Slash 3. It basically allows us to use Power Slash to go through diamonds. Which is pretty cool, I guess. That's pretty strong. But it's not really useful for the speedrun at all. It just makes Power Slash have a pretty color. Okay, cool. And now we've gotten everything that we need to get. We've gotten all of our brush powers and all of the brush upgrades. So I guess all that's left to do is to get to the end of the game. So let's go for that. So in the middle of this area, you might notice this giant boat. It's called the Ark. Usually the only way to enter it would be to lift the Ark and have a rainbow bridge take you to its loading zone. Luckily for us, they didn't expect an infinite jump glitch. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the loading, the cutscene to enter the arc is actually still there the moment you enter the area. So all we have to do is to jump into it, and that allows us to skip having to do anything in while we're trying. So over here, I'm going to be doing some shopping. I'm going to buy the item I was lacking, and I'm going to buy a new weapon. It's basically the strongest machine gun beads, and we'll be using it to speed up some of these bosses just a little bit. It saves a couple of seconds overall, which is nice. That's a nice little time saver. So we're gonna go in here, into our first fight. This is the Blight Fight. This boss is one of the bosses we skipped. The idea of this boss is it moves faster than you can see. So we have to use mist to slow it down and allow us to damage it. And we basically just kill it with 2 slips and it's over. There we go. So in between every single boss here, there's like a solid half a minute to a minute of just walking from boss to boss, which makes this this ending of the game a little bit boring. Like sometimes you're on this really hype run and you finally got the final KTs down and you're just like, yeah, I still have 10 minutes of gameplay to go, heck yeah. It is a little bit boring, sadly. The holy grail of this game is to skip having to fight all these bosses, but it's probably never going to happen. It would be lovely if it would happen, but yeah. So over here, you'll see why I left this weapon on. This weapon has a very short attack animation, which allows me to get speed really quickly for this Orochi fight. I'm going to be doing the same thing that we did in the earlier Orochi fight, so we're going to trigger all 3 heads at once. It's going to be a little bit loud, by the way, so I'm going to be speaking a little bit louder myself. That's sadly just how this fight works. And we're going to be doing this again. And by using the reflector, it just helps so much with this fight. There we go. So again, I'm going to be doing some equipping. I'm going to equip the sword back as well. I'm going to be using these 2 and then using a slip to go into the next phase. And this is why I bought the stronger machine gun beads, because that allows me to machine them down as well. Did I get the right beads? Yeah, I got the right beads on. This seems to take a long time to do, and you think like, oh, isn't there a faster way? The faster way would be running around and hitting them, basically one shot hitting them one by one, which is just slower than doing this, basically. I got a little bit unlucky on the heads though, they moved in weird ways, so yeah. And that's that fight. So this boss fight is basically the last boss fight where you can actually lose time. All of the other boss fights are kind of easy and I can explain within 2 sentences what's going on. Which is a bit sad. The New Game Plus run is a little bit ridiculous in that sense. So here we're gonna go to one of the first bosses that we haven't seen before. Big Spider Queen. The gimmick of this boss is that you first need to vine the hooks on her back before you can actually deal damage to her. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna first pull myself to the outside of the arena, and that allows me to have some nice camera on her back, and allowing me to really quickly and easily get all the hooks down, and then when she's down, use 2 slips, and there we go. That's Spider Queen. And on to the next boss we haven't seen before. So all of these bosses are like dungeon bosses, and we've only really fought 2. And that's because for this specific categories they are required. There's another category that I made up called all primary brushes. It's a bit of a for fun category. That one basically skips every single boss until we get to this area. That is actually just possible to do. It's a pretty fun run. I don't do it often, but it's a favorite of mine, so to speak. So this is Crimson Helm. We run towards him, we use a slip, we use Gillstorm, and then we one-shot him. There we go. And that's Crimson Helm. So after this we've got Ninetales again. We fought Ninetales before. So Zonorous, if you feel like you've got anything to say before I completely destroy the rest of this run, feel free to do so.
It would be my pleasure. So it has been a while, and I see we have quite a decent amount of viewers, so I'd like to remind everybody, or just explain that if you're watching for the first time, then hi, welcome, how's it going? We're the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering, and we organize bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux for speedrunners. Due to the situation surrounding the COVID-19 thing, we're currently doing our events online for the time being, and this event, BSG Annual, features speedrunners from the Benelux and the rest of the world to bring you the bestest of speedrun entertainment. And we are raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organization that is committed to prevent mental health issues and to support everybody who's dealing with mental issues themselves or within their families. And all of your donations, 100% of it will go directly towards it. We raised 2,474 euros so far, and we hope this amount goes up even a little bit more in the future. That'd be super appreciated. And yeah, this marathon goes on until Sunday, I believe. So we still have a lot of awesome speedruns up ahead. And yeah, if you feel generous, or if you have a little bit spare euros laying around, we would highly appreciate a donation of yours. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching and for donating. You guys are the best.
Thank you very much.
So is Kinnan as well, by the way. But with this amazing Okami run.
Thank you. Well, that was the I was trying to say something about final boss things, but whatever. Anyway, we're gonna go to the final boss now. We've completed all of the arc, so you can see it's nice and blue now rather than red. And after finishing all of the bosses, we get a little warp over there, and we're gonna jump into that warp to get to the final boss of the game. Yes, game. It's a game. Whew. Talking for more than 2 hours straight takes something out of you. So this boss, we have to basically, we can cycle through this boss really quickly to the point where we often have to wait for the boss to cycle through its giving us the brush powers, because at the start of this fight we basically lose all of our brush powers. So the idea is that we slowly but surely get all of our brush powers back. Right, first have to hit it. There we go. And then by dealing damage and going through everything that he does, we get our brush powers back one by one. And in between, every time I get a brush power back, I try to deal as much damage as I can with the beads on this first phase. we go. Now we're gonna go to the second phase. I'm gonna sit underneath. Deal some more damage. Oh, got a few more hits in. And we got another brush power back. So the way I'm doing this with the machine gun beats right now is actually a little bit new. We used to do these fights with shotgun beats, but using the machine gun beats speeds up the first little bit, like by a few seconds or so. It's kind of cool, simply because the machine gun beats just have way more range than the shotgun beats. And we still deal the same amount of damage, basically. So right at the end here, I'm going to draw a single dot. There we go. And we're going to go through the next phase. So from here on out, I'm only going to be using a bunch of slips. In this phase, I do what's called rigging the slots. I'm going to use 5 slips to deal a certain amount of damage, so that he's 1 slip away from death. And then we're gonna play the slots. There we go. Hey! Perfect. My rigging worked. Okay, next one. Hey, again, nice. Done some proper rigging here. It worked. I've recently done this fight without slips, and it looks completely different at this point. Actually takes a bit of effort to do well. There we go. Now we got all 3 of the brush powers from this phase. We're gonna use 1 more slip to push it into the 4th phase of this fight. There we go. And now, in the 4th phase, I'm gonna front load 6 slips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my personal preference. It doesn't matter when you use the slips. You always have to use 10 slips on this phase, and you're done, basically. Sadly, this is why I recommend, if you're playing this casually, to not play this using slips, because it's way too cheesy. You can just cheese everything. So yeah, now every time I get a brush power back, I'm going to be using a slip to get another brush power back. And then we're going to use another slip to go to the final phase. Now time is not on the final hit, it's when the final result screen pop up. I'll pull it out when we get there. There we go. We're gonna draw a sun here. Or not. There we go, and that's the final phase. Get ready on time. And time. That was a pretty dang good run, actually. Let's see, that's a 2:16:35 in-game time. On the leaderboards, we go by in-game time rather than RTA. And in this case, this is a pretty good run because world record is a 2:15 flat. I actually, during this run, I was ahead of world record multiple times for a very long amount of time, actually, by over a minute, until I lost it around Ninetales. So that was a little bit like, oh my god, am I gonna do this here? But yeah, that was cool. I would like to thank the entire Okami community. Everyone's been awesome lately. Well, everyone's always awesome. And special shoutouts to everyone working on like continuously working on routing this game. We're constantly finding new things. We're constantly optimizing new small things, and the whole atmosphere on improving Okami runs has been amazing. And very much a big shout outs to the Okami community. If you want to check out more runners of Okami, go to the Speedrun.com page. You'll see a lot of names there that are really awesome people. Feel free to join our Discord if you want to run. Everyone's more than happy to help any runner who wants to start. So yeah. And I saw that you have something to say, Zonorous.
Well, I do indeed have something here, because we have just reached 2,500 euros.
Woo!
Poggers! Woo! And it has been facilitated by a 26 euro donation by Bamzors. Yeah, Bamzors saying, "Greetings to all the OG BSG guys and gals. Enjoy the marathon. Greetings from Bamzors."
Yo,
Thank you very much for
Bamzors.
that donation.
God, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
So yeah, would you like to do any more final shoutouts before we head into intermission?
I mean, if you want me to name like at least 10 to 15 names, then maybe, but I think that's a bit too much. It's been awesome. The community has grown so much since the newer versions come out, so that's it's been awesome. I don't think I have much more to say at this point.
Well, then, let me tell you, thank you very much for this amazing run. From what I can tell, the chat very much enjoyed your run, so thank you very much for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently you haven't done this in quite a while, if I remember.
Not marathon runs, no. That's it's been a few months now, maybe half a year even. Kind of kept quiet during the COVID period.
So I'd say that was a successful re-entrance.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word that I'm trying to find here?
Return, I guess.
Yeah, return, exactly. Thank you very much. Successful return.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much for that run. And chat, listen, if you enjoyed this run very much, I highly recommend you to all I can't speak anymore. I highly recommend you all to stay a little bit longer, because coming up next we got Sonic Ball by Killer Chair. It's only a 15-minute estimate run, but I can assure you, I promise you, it is a very funny game. It's very, very cool. So please stick around. We will be jumping into a quick intermission, and when we come back, we get that Sonic Ball, and yeah, remember, we still got an incentive for that, so please check that one out. And yeah, please don't go anywhere. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and we will be right back after these few short messages.